The cabin smelled faintly of stale coffee and industrial disinfectant, a scent I'd grown intimately familiar with over 2 decades of corporate travel. My name is Evelyn Reed, and at 44, I was finally, truly tired. The red-eye flight from Vancouver had landed 3 hours ago, bringing me back to Seattle a full day ahead of schedule. My merger presentation had been a spectacular, unexpected success. I had nailed the handshake, finalized the contracts, and convinced the entire Canadian board that our architectural firm was the future. Instead of celebrating with the team, I had abruptly cancelled my dinner reservation and booked the next flight home. I simply needed to be home. The trip felt longer than usual. I missed my bed. More than that, I missed my daughter, Chloe. 16 years old, beautiful, and in the throes of that baffling teenage transition from child to independent adult. We hadn't been connecting lately. It was mostly my fault. The long hours, the constant deadlines, the relentless pursuit of the next big project. Robert, my husband, was managing things, of course. He was reliable, steady, and had a more flexible job in finance, often working from his home office. But a teenage daughter needs her mother. Especially Chloe. She was sensitive, prone to shutting down when overwhelmed. I pulled my sleek, black carry-on through the automatic doors of the airport parking garage, the Seattle drizzle instantly dampening my trench coat. The house would be quiet. Maybe I'd surprise them. Maybe Chloe would actually smile, that genuine, wide smile I hadn't seen in months. The thought alone made the ache in my shoulders dissipate. I hadn't texted anyone about the change of plans. I wanted it to be a complete surprise. A much-needed moment of normalcy. The tires crunched on the gravel of our driveway at 4:30 p.m. Too early for Robert to be home, he usually finished at 6. The house was dark, save for a faint, flickering light from the second floor. It was Chloe's room. My heart gave a little hopeful flutter. The front door opened with a soft, familiar click of the deadbolt. Robert insisted on a keyless entry system, but I kept the traditional key, a remnant of a simpler time, I suppose. The foyer was impeccably clean. Too clean. My own messiness, usually a comforting sign of life, was absent. A thick, almost oppressive silence hung in the air, broken only by the drip of rain outside. "Hello?" I called out, my voice sounding unnaturally loud in the empty space. No response. I checked the kitchen. Robert's mug was in the sink, rinsed but not put in the dishwasher. A small anomaly. His home office door was ajar, the monitors dark. He was gone, or perhaps running an errand. I decided to head straight upstairs. I needed a shower and to see Chloe. I climbed the hardwood stairs, the carpet runners muffling my steps. As I reached the landing, the flickering light from Chloe's room became clearer. It wasn't the steady glow of her usual study lamp. It was a sharp, bluish pulse. And then I heard it. A rapid, incessant click-click-click-click sound, like a typewriter on overdrive. It was too fast, too rhythmic to be her typing a school essay. I paused outside her closed door, my ear inching closer. I heard a low voice. Not talking to anyone, but speaking with an intense, clipped urgency. "No, no, that's the play. Commit now, Phantom." Phantom? That was odd. She used to call her gaming friends by their real names. The rapid clicking intensified, followed by a sharp, frustrated hiss that was definitely my daughter's. I knocked softly. "Chloe? Honey, it's Mom. I'm home early." The clicking stopped dead. The room went silent. A beat passed. Then another. "Mom? Hi. I'm busy. I'm on a video call for a group project. Can I call you back?" Her voice was tight, too high. A lie. My blood ran cold. That wasn't the sound of a video call. That was the sound of secrecy. I didn't wait. The pit in my stomach told me waiting was a luxury I couldn't afford. I fumbled with the small key on my chain, the spare key to her room that she didn't know I had. It slid into the lock, clicked, and I pushed the door open. The air in the room was thick, warm, and smelled faintly of energy drink and stress. And then I saw it. The sight that made my professional, controlled heart stop mid-beat and plummet straight to the floor. It wasn't a standard teenage gaming setup. It was a command center. 3 massive, curved monitors glowed with a frantic, pulsing energy. One screen displayed a dizzying, fast-paced game environment, a sleek, dark cityscape with neon accents. The second screen was a blizzard of chat windows, lines of text scrolling up at impossible speeds. The third, the one that truly shattered my composure, was a complex financial interface. It was a betting dashboard. And prominently displayed, in bold red lettering, was a number that made me gasp: $15,000 pending bet. Chloe, perched in her expensive ergonomic chair, looked like she'd been hit by a flashbulb. Her hair was a mess. Her eyes were wide, bloodshot, and frantic. Her hands hovered over a custom-made, click-clack keyboard and a mouse that looked like it belonged in a cockpit. On the screen, her avatar's name was indeed, chillingly, Phantom. "Mom, get out," she shrieked, scrambling to hit keys and minimize windows. She wasn't just gaming. She was gambling. At a level that was deeply, terrifyingly professional. The screen flashed. A notification popped up on the financial dashboard. Bet closed. Loss. The red $15,000 vanished, replaced by an even larger, more horrifying negative figure, $$22,500. Debt accrued. My knees went weak. I gripped the door frame, my vision tunneling. This wasn't teenage rebellion. This was financial catastrophe. This was a debt that could swallow us whole. This was a secret that had taken over my daughter's life. A life she was living in the shadows of my very own house. The noise, the screens, the sheer magnitude of the operation felt like a physical punch. I stumbled into the room, unable to process the reality. This was not my Chloe. This was Phantom, a stranger with a terrifying secret. The severity of the situation immediately eclipsed the surprise of my early return. The shock was paralyzing. My successful, straight-A daughter was risking our family's future in some dark, digital underworld. The world suddenly felt unstable, tilting on its axis. The air crackled with a volatile mix of shame, fear, and disbelief. Chloe was shaking, her face pale beneath the harsh screen light. I stood there, a successful architect who could manage million-dollar projects, utterly incapable of managing this moment. What is this, Chloe?" My voice was barely a whisper, thin and unfamiliar. "It's nothing, Mom. Just a stupid game," she shouted, her fingers flying across the trackpad, attempting to shut down the entire operation. She managed to kill the 3 main screens, plunging the room into relative darkness, leaving only the soft glow of her regular laptop. But the evidence was seared into my brain: the betting interface, the debt figure, the name Phantom. I took a step forward, my legs stiff. "A game? That was $22,000, Chloe. Where did you get that kind of money?" She jumped off her chair, positioning her body between me and the hardware. She looked like a cornered animal. "I didn't. It's just fake money for the game. You don't understand how this works." She was a brilliant liar, but her panic betrayed her. Her eyes darted everywhere but to mine. I moved to the desk, pushing past her gently but firmly. The setup was intricate. Hidden beneath a stack of textbooks, AP Calculus, The Great Gatsby, were thick, braided Ethernet cables and a small, nondescript black box. It was a dedicated, high-speed router, completely separate from our family network. "This is not fake, Chloe. This is real. Who is Phantom? Who are you betting against?" "No one. It's just me. I told you, it's just a hobby. A stupid mistake." The sheer volume of specialized equipment contradicted the hobby claim. I picked up the keyboard. It was heavy, weighted, clearly professional grade. She snatched it back instantly. "Don't touch my things." The defiance was a shield, masking a profound vulnerability. I felt the familiar corporate impulse to gather data, assess the damage, and form a strategy. But this was my daughter. The strategy felt less about profit margins and more about saving her soul. Where was Robert? Why hadn't he seen this? He was supposed to be the eyes and ears when I was away. I felt a surge of betrayal, not just from Chloe, but from my entire family unit. The debt was the immediate terror, but the secrecy was the deeper, more painful wound. I knew I wouldn't get the truth now. She was too guarded, too terrified. I decided to retreat, to observe, to plan. I needed the full picture before I detonated the bomb. "We will talk about this later," I said, my voice dangerously even. "For now, everything is coming off this desk." I walked out, leaving her in the blue-tinged wreckage of her secret life. The door clicked shut, but the heavy silence of the house had been replaced by a deafening dread. The night was long and silent. I couldn't sleep. I sat in the living room, wrapped in a blanket, staring at the darkened street. Robert finally returned around 11 p.m., looking tired and carrying a box of late-night pizza. "Evelyn, what are you doing here? I thought you weren't back until tomorrow." He looked genuinely surprised, maybe too much so. I watched him carefully. The merger closed early. I came home. I debated how much to tell him. All of it? Or just the tip of the iceberg? I decided on a slow burn. I needed to gauge his reaction. I went up to see Chloe. She was locked in her room and not studying. He chuckled, nervously. "Ah, the teenage life. She's probably playing that space game. What's it called? Ars Protocol." "It's not just a game, Robert. She has a professional setup. 3 monitors, a separate network. And she was talking about something called Phantom." His smile faltered. He busied himself setting the pizza on the counter. "Look, I know she's into the competitive scene. I told you, all the kids are. It's intense, yes, but it's harmless. She's smart, Evie. She manages her time." She was managing $20,000, Robert. Pending a bet. And losing it. That stopped him cold. He turned, his face etched with a look I couldn't decipher. Was it surprise, or guilt? "What are you talking about? Betting? That's ridiculous. She's 16. I saw the screen. A debt of $22,500. I saw the dashboard. I kept my voice low, but the accusation was sharp. He sighed, running a hand through his hair. I knew she was playing. I didn't know about the betting. She must be using some kind of simulation currency, Evelyn. It has to be. Nobody would let a 16-year-old bet real money like that." I didn't believe him. His denial was too immediate, too convenient. Later, while he was asleep, I went online. I bypassed the main router and connected directly to her separate, secret network. The security was terrifyingly complex for a high schooler. Multiple layers of encryption, VPNs, obfuscated IP addresses. I spent hours using my own corporate security experience to dig, looking for a digital footprint. I finally found it, a mention in a deep web forum dedicated to high-stakes, unregulated esports betting. The thread was discussing the most ruthless, successful player in the Ars Protocol underground scene. The name was Phantom. The comments described Phantom as cold, brilliant, and having an unnerving ability to predict opponents' moves. A single, chilling comment stood out. "Phantom is playing on borrowed time. The syndicate is watching the debt." My hands trembled on the keyboard. This wasn't a game anymore. This was a dangerous organization. And my daughter was right in the middle of it. The next morning, the tension in the house was a physical entity, heavy and suffocating. Chloe refused to come down for breakfast, citing a headache. Robert was overtly cheerful, attempting to smooth over the chasm that had opened between us. "Look, Evie, I'm sure it's just digital currency. A blip. We can talk to her later," calmly. "Maybe she needs a distraction." His eagerness to minimize the situation only fueled my suspicion. He was trying to protect her, or maybe himself. I took the day off, claiming exhaustion from the trip. My real mission began. I went back to Chloe's room while she was supposedly napping. This time, I was methodical. I went through drawers, under the mattress, behind the books. And I found it, taped to the back of the bottom drawer in her nightstand, a burner phone. It was cheap, old, and completely wiped of any typical teenage apps. I rebooted it, and immediately, a series of text messages popped up. They weren't from friends. From RH, contact name, text 1. Phantom, you have 48 hours to cover the 22.5K. Syndicate is getting restless. Talk to your partner. Text 2. Do not miss the 9 p.m. elimination round. Use the dragon's breath strategy. You know what's at stake. RH? Was that Robert's initials? No, Robert was RM. But the partner reference was chilling. Did she have an accomplice? I opened the contact details for RH. The number was a pay-as-you-go service, untraceable. The reference to a partner made me think of Robert again. He was financially savvy. I confronted Robert when he returned from his brief errand, a suspiciously long trip to the hardware store for a single pack of nails. "I found this," I said, placing the burner phone on the kitchen island. "And I want to know who RH is." He stared at the phone, his face draining of color. The cheerfulness evaporated, replaced by a deep, dark defensiveness. "Where did you get that? Evelyn, you can't just violate her privacy like that." "Violate her privacy? She's accumulating debts with a syndicate, Robert. I saw the messages. Who is her partner?" He wouldn't meet my eyes. He started pacing, agitated. "I don't know what RH is. I told you, I only knew she was gaming. I knew she was good. She just needed an outlet." "An outlet that involves life-threatening debt and shadowy figures? You're an intelligent man, Robert. You work in finance. This smells like something you're trying to hide for her, or maybe even for yourself." He slammed his hand on the counter, the sound echoing in the silence. "You always jump to the worst conclusion, Evelyn. You're never here. Maybe if you were, you would know she's just stressed and using this as a creative escape. You are turning this into a criminal enterprise when it's probably just some kids making threats." He was deflecting, angrily. And his anger only solidified my fear. He knew more. Much, much more. And he was intentionally withholding it from me. I picked up the phone again. I needed to know what the dragon's breath strategy was. My investigation had just expanded to include my own husband. The foundation of my entire life was crumbling, piece by piece, under the weight of this digital secret. I researched the dragon's breath strategy that night. It wasn't a tactical move in the game. It was a signal. It was a pre-arranged code used by underground bettors to signal a fixed match. If Phantom used dragon's breath, it meant she was deliberately losing to throw the high-stakes round. The realization hit me like a physical blow. My daughter was not just a gambler, she was being coerced into match-fixing by a criminal organization. The debt wasn't a mistake, it was leverage. The idea that she was being blackmailed, that her life was actually in danger, propelled me into action. I had to understand the extent of their reach. I remembered the multiple monitors she used. They weren't just for gameplay, they were for communication and monitoring. The separate network was designed to evade the parental controls that Robert had supposedly put on our main router. I checked our joint bank account online. The numbers looked normal, balanced. But I remembered the red $22,500 figure on the screen. It was real, just hidden. Where was the money coming from and going to? I realized Chloe wasn't using our joint accounts. She was likely using a secondary source. I pulled up her college savings account, a trust fund set up by her grandmother. The balance was almost zero. A lump formed in my throat, a sick, heavy stone. She hadn't just accrued debt, she had used her entire future savings to cover initial losses, and then lost that, too. The $22,500 was the final, immediate threat. I looked at the transaction history, dozens of small, obscure transfers, titled things like digital art commission or software license fee. These were not innocent transfers. They were coded payments to the syndicate. My mind raced back to Robert's anger. Was he lying to protect her, or was he involved in the initial withdrawals? I called the school counselor, Mrs. Albright, under the guise of discussing Chloe's college applications. Mrs. Albright was concerned. "Evelyn, Chloe has been withdrawn. She's been sleeping in class. Her math scores have plummeted. She looks perpetually exhausted and stressed. Has she mentioned any new activities? Any online groups?" I asked, trying to sound casual. "No, just a lot of talk about feeling overwhelmed. She did mention she felt like she was carrying a huge, secret burden." A huge, secret, financially devastating burden. I thanked the counselor, the guilt churning fiercely inside me. I had been so focused on my career, I had missed the breakdown of my daughter's life. The next message on the burner phone came that afternoon. From RH, contact name, text 3, final warning, Phantom. Tonight, 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Eliminate or be eliminated. Your partner is silent. Don't fail the syndicate. The threat was now explicitly personal and scheduled. I had 3 hours to devise a plan to save my daughter from a digital ghost and a criminal network. The fight had officially begun. The tension was unbearable. Robert came home early, looking strained. He poured a glass of whiskey, a habit he usually reserved for weekends. I ignored his attempted small talk and walked straight into the living room, holding the depleted savings account statement. "Where is the money, Robert?" "All of it. Her college fund is gone." He froze, the glass halfway to his lips. "What? That's impossible. That fund is locked down." "It's not, and it's empty. She's been using it to pay off initial betting losses. The digital art commissions are payments to the syndicate." He slammed the glass down, the whiskey splashing over the polished wood. "God, Evelyn. She's 16. How could she be this stupid?" His anger was a mix of genuine shock and self-preservation. He was furious, but not entirely surprised. "She's not stupid, she's brilliant. She's addicted and she's being blackmailed. And I want to know what you knew, and when." He finally cracked. He sank onto the sofa, defeated. "I knew she was involved in high-level gaming. A month ago, she came to me. She was hysterical. She'd made a series of bets that went wrong. She begged me not to tell you." "And you helped her cover it up?" I asked, the accusation laced with cold disbelief. "No. I gave her $20,000 from my discretionary fund. Just to cover the initial, smaller debt. I told her to stop. I thought that would be the end of it." My stomach churned. He had tried to fix a criminal problem with cash, protecting his image instead of my daughter. $20,000. And she immediately lost more than that. "You didn't solve the problem, Robert. You showed the syndicate we had deep pockets." He covered his face with his hands. "I didn't think. I was panicking. I just wanted to protect her from your judgment, from your disappointment." "My disappointment is in you, Robert. You chose secrecy over our daughter's safety." The facade of our perfect, successful life in Seattle finally shattered. We were standing in the rubble. I told him about the dragon's breath strategy. I told him about the 9 p.m. deadline. They are forcing her to throw a match tonight. If she fails, they take more than money. They know where we live, Robert. They know who she is. I was already moving toward the door. I need to get into that network. I need to stop this game. Robert finally stood up, a new, desperate fear in his eyes. I'm coming with you. I'm going to fix my mistake. But this was no longer a negotiation. This was a rescue mission. The clock on the wall read 8 p.m. We were downstairs, preparing. Robert looked like a ghost, but his movements were determined. He confessed that he'd helped Chloe set up the dedicated router, thinking it was just to reduce lag for her Ars Protocol tournaments, which she claimed were sponsored but were actually just high-stakes, internal syndicate events. She told me it was a closed network beta test. I feel like an idiot, he admitted, his voice hoarse. I laid out my plan. I needed to remotely access the game server through the vulnerability in her separate router and intercept the Dragon's Breath signal. I spent the next 40 minutes working in Robert's home office, connecting directly to Chloe's network via a high-powered, industrial-grade VPN I used for secure firm communications. I was an architect, not a hacker, but years of defending against corporate espionage had given me a niche skill set. The complexity of the system she had built was astonishing. It was a labyrinth of security protocols. Meanwhile, Robert was trying to talk to Chloe, to delay her, to distract her from the 9 p.m. start time. She was unresponsive, glued to her screen, preparing for the match she knew she had to lose. I could hear her muffled voice from upstairs, a tense, whispered repetition of tactical jargon. Just tell me you love me, Chloe. That's all that matters, Robert pleaded outside her door. I can't talk right now, Dad. I'm focused. Just go away. Her isolation was complete. She was carrying the full weight of the debt and the threat alone. I finally managed to breach the dedicated router's internal log. The server address was obscured, masked by several layers of shell servers, but I found the IP address of the main betting platform, a domain registered offshore, a ghost in the machine. 8:45 p.m. 15 minutes to the game. I found the file containing the Dragon's Breath code. It was a tiny, automated script that, when executed, would cause her character, Phantom, to suffer a predictable, irreversible defeat. It was designed to look like a critical in-game error, ensuring the bettors who placed money against her would win. My goal was not to delete the file, but to corrupt it, to make it execute a different, non-damaging command. I was racing against the clock, fighting a high-stakes battle on a digital landscape I barely understood. Robert came back downstairs, his face pale. She's logging in. It's starting. My fingers flew across the keyboard. I was in the operating system of her gaming PC, using my own secret access point. I had to be surgical. Any crash, any noticeable delay, and the syndicate would know she was being helped. 8:58 p.m. The clock was ticking down. I found the script, quickly changed the file extension, and injected a small, undetectable loop of code. Instead of Dragon's Breath, the fixed defeat, the script would now execute the Phoenix Rise protocol, a rarely used, high-risk strategy that she had created, but had never successfully implemented. This would be her chance. A clean slate, a chance to play for real. 9 p.m. The game started. I was downstairs, watching the network traffic indicators surge on my own monitor. Upstairs, Chloe was fully engaged, her voice tight with terror as she prepared to throw the match. Okay, initiating Dragon's Breath, I heard her murmur. The sound of a final, heavy key press. I held my breath, watching the network packets transmit. The corrupted script executed. Instead of the fatal flaw, her character, Phantom, initiated a dizzying sequence of high-level maneuvers. It was the Phoenix Rise, a complex, almost suicidal full frontal assault, relying on speed and total surprise. A moment of silence from upstairs. Then, a sharp, disbelieving gasp from Chloe. What is happening? I pressed the fix. On the network monitor, I watched her character's activity. Phantom was playing like a god, moving with a reckless, brilliant abandon she couldn't have executed if she were trying to lose. The syndicate's chat rooms, which I was covertly monitoring, went berserk. User: wait, why is Phantom going for the kill? User: she was supposed to throw. She's costing us thousands. User: RH said it was a clean fix. What is this madness? My heart was pounding against my ribs. I had given her a chance, but I had also put her in more danger. Robert stood behind me, his hand on my shoulder, trembling. Evelyn, are you sure about this? If she loses trying, she's still a victim. If she loses deliberately, she's an accomplice. She has to play for real. The tension upstairs was palpable. Chloe wasn't screaming now. She was focused. I could hear the frantic clicking of her keyboard, the sound no longer one of routine, but of fierce, desperate determination. She was playing the game she had invented, fully, truly, for the first time. The battle raged for 25 minutes. It was brutal, spectacular, and utterly nerve-wracking. Finally, a triumphant roar erupted from her room. Not a teenage cheer, but a primal scream of victory. She had won. The debt was not only nullified but, momentarily, reversed. The syndicate was in chaos. But the danger was far from over. I knew they would trace this disruption. I immediately wiped the corrupted file from her system and began scrubbing the IP logs of my own connection. Robert, I said, I need you to take her out of here. Now. Tell her you're taking her for ice cream. Don't tell her why. Just go. He nodded, already moving toward the stairs. The victory was temporary, but it had bought us time, and, more importantly, it had restored a sliver of Chloe's agency. She had played her own game, and she had won. The moment Robert and Chloe's car pulled out of the driveway, I went back to work. My victory was only a temporary patch. The syndicate knew someone had interfered. My next goal was to destroy her connection to RH and the betting platform permanently, and gather enough evidence to bring this to the authorities. I used my firm's corporate firewall logs, which I had access to trace the IP addresses of the most agitated bettors in the syndicate chat. They were spread across 3 continents, a ghost server in the Netherlands, a payment processor in Cyprus, and a main contact in a shell corporation in London. This was not a few kids. This was organized crime. I focused on the communication between Phantom and H. I managed to breach the encryption on the burner phone and found a long string of coded messages predating the betting. They were not about debt. They were about talent. RH was not a threat, he was our initial recruiter. Message from RH, 6 months ago. Your tactical brilliance is wasted on high school games. I can get you access to the closed circuit. Real money, real stakes. Think about it, Phantom. He had preyed on her ambition, her undeniable skill, and her need for excitement. I found an email address linked to RH in the phone's metadata. A quick cross-reference with public records and financial databases revealed the truth. RH was Ronald Hale, a former investment banker disgraced in a minor insider trading scandal, now running a digital money laundering betting operation. He was a professional criminal, not a teenage co-conspirator. The extent of the danger finally sank in. My daughter was working with a white-collar criminal. I downloaded every piece of evidence, the burner phone data, the chat logs, the financial IP addresses, and transferred them to a secure, encrypted drive. I realized I couldn't go to the local police. This was an international financial crime network. I needed to go to the FBI's cybercrimes division. This was a case that required anonymity and global reach. I spent the next 2 hours creating an anonymous, untraceable package of evidence. I knew that sending this evidence was lighting a fuse. The syndicate would be exposed, but the focus would also immediately fall on the person who exposed them, the player known as Phantom. I took a deep breath, the evidence sitting on the screen. I had to protect Chloe, even if it meant jeopardizing my own career by using corporate resources for a personal matter. My priority was clear. My career was nothing compared to my daughter's freedom. Robert and Chloe returned at 11:30 p.m. The house was tense, the atmosphere thick with unsaid truths. Chloe walked straight past me, heading for her room. "Chloe," I called out, my voice stern but calm. "We are talking now. Everything comes off that desk, and then we talk." She hesitated, then turned. Her eyes, still bloodshot, now held a spark of defiance mixed with resignation. "You messed up my match, Mom," she said, her voice flat. "I was supposed to lose. Now they'll come for me." "No, I gave you a chance to win. And you took it. You played the game you were too afraid to play before." I showed her the college savings account balance, 0. I showed her the messages with Ronald Hale, IH. "He's not your partner, Chloe. He's a disgraced banker running a criminal organization. He used your talent to fix games and launder money." The reality of the situation finally hit her. She sank onto a living room chair, looking small and fragile. "I didn't mean to. It started small. A few $100s. Then I lost, and I chased the loss. He said I had to keep playing to pay it back. Then he told me to throw the match tonight or he'd leak my secret identity to the school." "Your secret identity as a genius esports player?" I asked gently. "That's not a secret to be ashamed of, honey. It's your talent. The shame is in the lies and the debt." Robert sat next to her, placing a hesitant hand on her shoulder. "I should have told your mother when I found out," he whispered. "I tried to fix it alone. That was wrong. We are a family, and we fix this as a family." For the first time in months, they looked at each other, not as adversaries, but as damaged people who needed each other. I told them about the evidence I had compiled and my plan to send it to the FBI. We exposed the syndicate and the betting ring. They will focus on escaping the authorities, not on a single player who won a fluke match. "But they'll know it was me," Chloe whispered, pulling her knees to her chest. "They will know it was Phantom, an anonymous, brilliant player who burned them," I corrected. "We will ensure Phantom vanishes tonight, forever." The truth was out. The reckoning was painful, but the air was suddenly clean, free of the oppressive weight of the secret. It was time to eliminate the threat, not just the debt. I knew the syndicate would be trying to breach Chloe's computer the minute they realized the fix had failed. They would be hunting for the leak. My final act that night was building a digital firewall, a massive, ironclad shell around Chloe's machine and our home network. I used every piece of security knowledge I possessed. I encrypted her hard drive, wiped the gaming partition, and installed 3 layers of intrusion detection software. I even created a sophisticated decoy file, a fake confession planted on a low-security server, to draw their attention away from our house. Robert sat with me, learning the process, watching the screen as the counterattacks began. The network traffic indicators spiked around 1 a.m. They were hitting her IP address relentlessly. "They're trying to force their way in," I explained to Robert, my eyes glued to the screen. "They want to know why she played the Phoenix Rise, and who helped her." The cyber attack was relentless, a coordinated effort from their global network. I watched as my software fought back, bouncing the attacks, sending them into decoy loops. It was like watching a physical siege on our home, only the soldiers were lines of code, and the bombs were data packets. In the middle of the digital war, I paused. "How did she get so good, Robert?" "She has this spatial reasoning, EV. It's unbelievable. When she plays, it's not a game to her. It's a complex, multivariable equation she solves faster than anyone else." I realized then what my heart had truly dropped for. Not just the debt, but the sheer, reckless waste of her genius. Her brilliance, channeled into a dark, dangerous corner. The attacks subsided around 3 a.m., likely because the syndicate had shifted its focus to their impending global crisis caused by my evidence package. I had packaged the evidence with a strict time release feature. It would hit the FBI's cyber division at 6 a.m., timed for the start of their workday. The moment the attack stopped, I shut down the dedicated router permanently, physically dismantling it and wrapping the pieces in foil. Phantom was officially retired. I walked into Chloe's room. She was asleep, curled up under her blanket, looking like the little girl I remembered. I gently slid the burner phone out from under her pillow and crushed it with the heel of my shoe. The danger was neutralized, the evidence secured, and the family was, finally, together in the fight. 6 a.m. The evidence package hit the FBI server. My part of the operation was complete. We gathered in the kitchen for a quiet, nervous breakfast. Chloe was pale but lucid. "What happens now?" she asked, stirring her cereal, the question directed at me. "Now, we tell the truth. To the FBI," I said. "We tell them everything about Ronald Hale, the syndicate, and how you were coerced. We are the victims here." Robert had already arranged a lawyer, a sharp specialist in corporate fraud and cybercrime. At 9 a.m., 2 FBI agents arrived, discreetly, in an unmarked car. They were professional, efficient, and immediately focused on the global nature of the crime, not the local teenage girl. My evidence was precise and overwhelming. The agents confirmed that Ronald Hale was a longtime target. "Your daughter's log files were meticulous, Mrs. Reed," Agent Miller noted. "She unknowingly documented Hale's entire operation, the IP addresses, the fixed bets. She provided us with more evidence than we've gathered in a year." The agents spent 3 hours with Chloe. She was honest, tearful, but articulate. She admitted her gambling addiction, her thrill-seeking, and her initial desire to prove her skill in a high-stakes environment. She never once blamed her father or me. She took full responsibility for the lies. The FBI confirmed that, given her age and the level of coercion, she would be treated as a victim and a material witness, not a suspect. The primary threat, Ronald Hale, was already being tracked. The syndicate was in the process of a major global shutdown. The debt, the original source of my panic, was officially nullified by the FBI as funds derived from criminal activity. The financial danger was over. The emotional repair, however, had just begun. When the agents left, the house felt strangely empty. The crisis was past, but the residue of betrayal and fear lingered. "I don't want to play ours protocol ever again," Chloe said softly, staring out the window. "I want to finish school. I want to build things." She looked at my architecture books stacked on a shelf. "Like you, Mom. I want to use my brain to create, not to destroy." That sentence, more than anything, truly made my heart soar. The drop of fear had led to a resurrection of hope. 6 months passed, and the silence in the house was no longer heavy with secrets, but light with recovery. Ronald Hale was arrested in the Netherlands, a direct result of the evidence I had compiled. The syndicate crumbled, its servers seized by international law enforcement. The case was high profile, but Phantom was just a footnote, an anonymous genius whose quick actions, and my parental intervention, had inadvertently exposed a criminal network. Chloe was seeing a therapist, addressing the addiction and the root causes of her need for high-stakes validation. She was also, finally, using her genius for good. She had designed an algorithm for our architecture firm that optimized structural load distribution, a concept she had mastered through her gaming, only now applied to real-world engineering. My colleagues were impressed. I was beaming. She was accepted into her top-choice college, with a major in computational engineering. I had scaled back my travel drastically. I restructured my life, not my job, to prioritize presence over prestige. Robert had stepped up, too. He resigned from his finance job, realizing the risk-averse security of his work had made him emotionally complacent at home. He started a small, ethical consulting firm, working mostly from home, fully present. One Saturday afternoon, I walked into the family room. Chloe was sitting on the sofa, her regular, small laptop open. She was coding. Not a high-stakes match, but a simple, open-source project designed to help other teenagers identify and avoid online scams. She looked up and smiled, the genuine, wide smile I had missed for so long. "Hey, Mom. Want to see the wireframe for the new app? I call it Phoenix." I sat down next to her, pulling her close. The weight of her head on my shoulder felt natural, correct. I realized that coming home unexpectedly had not led to disaster, but to a necessary detonation. My heart had dropped that day, but not from disappointment. It had dropped from the terrifying realization that I had almost lost her to a hidden world of danger, and that I was the only one who could pull her back. The secret was gone. The debt was cleared. The family was rebuilding. Our foundation was stronger now, built not on the perfect facade of success, but on the messy, truthful bedrock of intervention, honesty, and unconditional love. I kissed her forehead, the scent of fresh soap and teenager replacing the smell of energy drink and stale air. "It looks beautiful, Chloe," I whispered. "Absolutely beautiful." The journey home had been difficult, but it had saved us all. I was Evelyn Reed, the architect. But first and foremost, I was Chloe's mother. And finally, I was home.